Oh, how was that?
Huh?
I heard something fall behind me. Um,
It's the shadow people.
yeah. Okay, so we're live. Everything should be going good. Um,
Right, all right.
I'm gonna go over the topics and stuff that we're gonna talk about. Again, sorry, I was almost overslept and I kind of rushed in here. Um, anyways, the so we're gonna be talking about tonight. Titanic, different things with it, kind of if they should raise it up, how they can't really, maybe stuff that they can say from it, a few different things with that, along with other ocean stuff, um, like the Ocean Gate, if you guys looked at that whenever that happened.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, then other ocean anomalies, depending on how much time we got, things of that nature. A back end, probably paranormal things, aliens. We'll talk a little bit about that probably, and we'll see where we go from there. Sound good?
So you're saying we got like the
Yeah.
all ocean episode
Yeah.
after last episode where we talked about dolphins for like 45 minutes.
A little bit, a little bit.
I love it.
We'll see.
hmm
We'll see how it goes. Um, I think I'm going to start trying to do like a pre-show thing where so we can get set up. That'll be in the future though, not this time. And I'll do a little outro at the end once we're done too, I believe. Um, but we'll see how things go.
Sounds
So,
good to me.
you guys ready?
Always.
Yeah.
All right, for recording's sake, and for anybody that watches or listens, I'm Tom. I'm 41. Um, these two other voices you hear are Stoba and Abe.
Soba's me. Yep.
That's Stoba, yes. Stoba I've known for a very long time. He's an awesome friend.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
kind of you to say.
It's kind of you to be such a great person. Abe, I've known for a very long time. Somebody that's always been there. Again, another great person. Uh,
Oh, thank you.
this is the Sandpit. This is where we're just gonna basically talk about different topics that we find interesting. I hope anybody that listens enjoys. So, uh, the Titanic. So the Titanic, I'm gonna be real with you. That's something that ever since I was a kid, it's always been a big thing with me. I'm my wife and me we've been watching a lot of different documentaries about it, about Ocean Gate, about a few different people that have dived and things of that nature. Uh,
Yeah.
it apparently Titanic is supposed to be one of the three words that's known worldwide because of how humongous it is.
I didn't even consider that.
Yeah, I was kind of
10
surprised.
languages.
Yes, I was very surprised about that. I thought that was
You
really
said it's like one of three. What are the other two?
God and I forgot what the third one was. The first one was.
Maybe the Beatles.
Oh no, it was
People love
something.
No,
the Beatles.
no.
It was something very. It's something very mundane.
Yeah,
Uh,
like burger.
food. I think maybe. I can't remember.
Rum.
Maybe McDonald's. I'm sure that's
Oh,
not
everybody knows
worldwide.
McDonald's. Hell yeah.
Or like Coca-Cola or
Yeah,
some
actually,
bullshit.
Coca Cola.
And
That's what it was. It was
yeah, there we go. See,
Hey,
yeah. There's Coca Cola. Coca
solved it.
Cola. Coca Cola,
it
God,
would be.
and Titanic is known are the three major words that are known worldwide. Is what it said. In the documentary you watched. Um, so with Titanic, ever since I was a kid, and I remember like it's just very interesting. Um, for me, just how everything can go so wrong. The way that it sank, the way that it's sitting at the bottom of the ocean, um, the things, how it's so out of reach for us, um,
Right.
even though but it's also almost not. It's just at arm's reach. It feels like by what, especially with a lot of stuff I've read about it. Um, like I know there's a fan base of people that wish that we could raise the Titanic. But there's like absolutely no way nowadays. I mean, it is so decaying. I was looking at photos of it from 1995 compared to 2000, compared to 2010. It showed where it's just breaking down slowly in the middle.
Oh, is it just getting worse year after year?
Yeah, somebody we watched a documentary. I think it was like Titanic in full 3D or something like that, where they took a 3D model, not model. They took photos of it, high resolution photos of it, and turned it into a 3D model, and then put it on this giant screen for these three experts. And the one of the ladies, uh, one of the people that was the expert, talked about how um, the metal is going to rust and corrode and decay before any of the personal belongings do that people had. So it's just everything's breaking down metal from its
So the
foundation.
boat's just gonna disappear, and all that's gonna be left is like treasure on the bottom of the sea.
We pretty much. I wouldn't say treasure, but yeah, um,
Like saw pitch or whatever.
yeah,
Treasure and garbage.
more garbage, personal belongings, like pe- they said like pieces of leather, dresses, dolls, luggage, a lot
Oh, all the
of
creepy shit.
yeah, kinda.
Cool. Yeah.
But you can
What about like bones and stuff?
no, I think they're long gone.
Really? Like we don't even have like skeletal evidence?
No, yeah, unless there's something, and that's something I kind of want to talk about. Unless there's something somehow gets saved, I would imagine the mud. I could see, well, and this is my personal opinion, not experts or anything. If somehow it's in the mud somewhere, because that's something that they talked about was the tip of the ship. Uh, when it hit the mud as hard as it did, it buried, I think, 30 to 40 feet into the mud. So
Whoa.
I could see maybe somebody that died in there, like down the engine rooms, or something of that nature. But they said that the majority of the people, no, they all died with it. I think they said the 30 engineers died with the ship, and they died in boiler room two.
Whoa.
They were still pumping coal into the engines, um, as it
What a way
was.
to go.
Yeah, they
Man,
said.
I gotta confess, I don't know that much about the Titanic. I know it was a big ship.
Hmm.
I know it hit an iceberg. I know it sank. But you're saying like a lot of crew members died?
Yes. Yeah.
They were still working right up until the end.
Yeah. So
Why did they get off, man?
so
Well, no, because it's maritime tradition. You're supposed to go down with the ship, right,
That's
or
just the
whatever.
hmm
captain. Just the
hmm
captain. They don't pay you
No,
enough
well,
as a crew member.
well, well, that might be true, but I think one of the things was like the number of lifeboats it had was way less than it actually should have had. So a lot of people were going to die regardless, and at that point,
So
you
even
know,
so we'll cover that a little bit. Um, so the how it went down based off what this documentary talked about, which based all its information off of what um, reports from people that were on the ship and based off what they were able to see on the ship itself after it's already in the ground. Basically, the head engineer of the boiler rooms and everything, he sent the entire crew that was not needed to the top of the ship to leave to save themselves, while he stayed behind and he funneled coal into the ship engines, and then the rest of the engineers that were under him stayed with him to help him. And the reason they did that is so that the lights would stay on as long as they could, so there'd be a greater chance for more people to stay alive. If he hadn't,
God.
if he hadn't done that, the lights would have gone off a lot sooner. A lot more people would have made it to the boats. I mean, they basically sacrificed themselves so other people could live.
So they died like heroes.
In a sense, if that's how you want to see it, yes.
Wow. I never heard of that.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like I knew the ship's lights stayed on for a while, but I didn't realize that was the reason. Cause
It'd be real cool if like people knew their names.
oh man, I don't got the names.
That's a noble sacrifice.
I don't got the names of anybody. I just know it was the 30 engineers that were on the board. Like I said,
Dude, if I'm going down to save people's lives, people better remember my name.
no, they won't.
That's all I ask.
They
I
won't.
want a plaque.
that's
I want a bench.
that's
There is
I
a
want a
plaque.
brick and a walkway.
There is a plaque. That's something too. Uh, there's a lot of the expeditions that have gone down have left plaques at the certain point of the on the ship. I
Oh
believe
yeah.
where the wheelhouse is. Um, some of the plaques are, to the people that died saving people. Some of the plaques are just expeditions that went down there. I think one's supposed to be the Guinness World Record. Things of that nature. So there is a plaque at least. You just have to dive down there to see them.
A plaque where absolutely nobody can see it.
Yeah.
perfect.
Awesome.
Um, and stuff like that, I feel like is stuff that should be saved, in my opinion. Uh, but yeah, so these 30 engineers went down. Went down the ship so that could happen. The experts talked about how that's the whole reason why the lights were on while the ship was still halfway down in there, until the middle of the ship, when it split, it absolutely just destroyed, like exploded. Um,
So the boat like cracked in half and then sank.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
kinda. Uh,
I never saw the movie, the famous Leonardo
mhm,
DiCaprio
mhm.
flick that dramatized the whole thing. So I know very little about the Titanic.
I know quite a
Um,
bit. Go for it.
I know a little bit just from like I have this weird selective memory where I remember a bunch of weird shit I see on TV. So apparently, the reason it sank was it imagine an ice cube maker that stick in the water, stick water in and throw in the freezer to make ice cubes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was sectioned off, right? So the idea was that even if it formed a leak and it started like taking in water, that the whole thing went, but
Right, you'd flood
the
like
only
one compartment and everything would be fine.
right. Right. So the didn't work like that in practice though. So all
No,
you had was this water slowly collecting on one side of it where the gash was, while the other, wasn't. So it was like so it kind of created this type of like weight on one side that wasn't on the other, and that's sort of why it kind of like split apart or whatever.
so,
I'm not too familiar, but I know that I saw something about that,
mhm.
I believe.
So you're pretty much right to a degree. Um, it it was able to stay afloat if four of the compartments of the, I think, 12 compartments did not fill with water. If it went past four, it was gonna sink no matter what. It's why it was called the unsinkable. The
Wait, they called it the unsinkable?
Yeah, yeah, man,
Hmm.
it's Titanic.
Yeah.
So
um,
Yeah.
and an iceberg brought it down.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think I know what really brought it down. Fucking hubris.
yeah, That's
Yeah,
Wow, they had
the
that
whole
coming.
thing. Yeah. Um.
yeah. I think the maker even was like, God himself cannot sink this ship
Yes. Yeah.
before their maiden voyage.
Yeah.
So that's
Cool.
yeah.
Don't tempt fate, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
So they in this documentary I watched, they did a simulation of the wreck, it's slamming into not slamming, running up against the iceberg based off all the details given. Uh, what they were able to determine or figure out from this simulation is that what probably happened is it wasn't just one gash, one cut. If it was, then it wouldn't have sank. What they realized is that when they turned out away from the the iceberg did uh, 6 cuts into it, cutting 6 holes into each, or a hole into each 6 sections.
Oh
So
no.
it was over from that moment on. But the reason it took so long to sink is because the holes for the last section was like the size of two pieces of paper next to each other. It was a small hole. Um,
Teeny tiny.
yeah, but as soon as that hole filled up, it started to spill over, like Abe said, and it was over from then. And then as soon as I believe they said it, when the boiler room 2 filled, is around the time that it actually snapped in half, and that it wasn't like a clean cut where it just popped. Apparently, like the middle section just exploded from the force of it all.
Oh,
Um, the front end then glided down and slammed into the mud, and then the back end bobbed for a minute, uh, turn, turned a bit, and then slowly just spiraled down into the water. Its ass got shot up into the air from it. It is very interesting. Um,
they just like landed right next to each other at the bottom of
no,
the sea.
they're about I think 3 miles away from apart, but yeah,
3 miles?
yeah, like
Oh, wow.
three and a
I
half.
didn't know that.
Yeah, they're not next to each other, like right next to each other.
So you
They're
gotta choose which half you want to dive to. You can't just do both. You can't go on the grand
right,
tour.
right.
Wow.
And then in between the each piece, there is this ginormous debris field, which is because once it like teetered up the back end, it just emptied out pretty much anything that could fall out fell out.
Like a pinata.
Kinda.
Like a really grim pinata.
Yeah, yeah,
Or like a one of those poppers with the confetti.
yeah. If you're facing it straight down. Um. So yeah, so it filled up. It and that happened. Um. And of course, during when all this was going on, people were getting on lifeboats, so on and so forth. A lot of people theorize that if they were to have hit the um, iceberg straight on, they would have survived. Did that in their simulation. They're like, yeah, that actually would have worked because it would have only destroyed the first 4 compartments. Um,
Wow.
but I mean, who's going to be like iceberg straight ahead, run into it? You know?
So their mistake was that they tried.
Yeah. Uh, in that uh,
Always.
the ship itself couldn't turn fast enough. It was built so long that the propellers weren't. It's not gonna turn on a dime. Um, Another thing too is that they were going so fast that they were unable to see the iceberg soon enough. Um, because it
Well, this
was
happened at night too, right?
yes on apparently water, still water, to where they couldn't see it. It made it harder to see the ice and everything.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't blame them.
and then on
I think I think one other thing was also the type of metal, the way it was the material used to construct it. It's actually sturdy until you get it very very cold, and that's I think something that they didn't account
Oh,
for
I didn't know about
also.
that. Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that.
So just everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yeah,
Wow.
very very sad, very tragic. I believe 1,500 people died out of the 2,000 something. I can't remember. I think a total of like 700 people got saved. A lot of the lifeboats weren't full with everybody because rich people or whoever was doing it, were just like
Oh
cash this
man,
off. Um,
you
and
telling me the richest people lived?
a good, I mean, you know how that is. Is it women and children first for the most part. There then after a certain amount of ships went out with women and children, then men started fighting for the lifeboats once they realized the lifeboats weren't still going. Um, with this the documentary that I watched with the 3D scans of it, they were able to determine that they were still trying to get one last lifeboat out when it went down, but they weren't successful enough to. So that lifeboat was up capsized. So people were trying to climb on top of that.
Sheesh.
Um, I think they said there was about 300 to 400 people in the water that just died to the water, that just were floating there dead. So a field
I
of
mean,
dead
it was
people.
cold water, right?
Yeah, very cold.
Oof.
Um, they talked a little bit about like certain members of the crew. I mean, the captain went down with the ship. Um, and then they talked about like the a guy that they said people claimed he shot himself in the head, but based off of his first mate or something that disagreed and said that that's not what happened. They actually were able to kind of prove that he didn't kill himself and that because he was labeled as a coward for it. Um, but
Wow.
yeah, uh,
You
but
can you can die in a horrible accident like that, and people still want to throw labels on you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Can't win. You just can't
no,
win.
you just can't win.
No.
um, so well, a lot of people say that we shouldn't bother to bring anything up because it's a grave site. Um, I agree and disagree. Uh, because like if a plane were to crash, we're not going to leave it there because it's a grave site. What's the difference there? Um,
Yeah, we want to recover the bodies for the families.
yeah, bodies are gone. Um, but why not recover other stuff? Like they were able to when they were examining the debris field, and the debris field's kind of my main focus, I think, um, because the back end of the ship is just absolutely obliterated. Um, it, there's not much left there. The front end, there's a good chunk up to the boiler room too, and then I think they said that one of the boilers is actually missing, so it's buried in the mud somewhere. Uh,
Wow.
but the ship itself, since it's decaying the way it is, uh, there's I mean, it's gonna fall apart if we try to bring it up.
Yeah.
Um, so what I think would be a good idea is going to that debris field and bringing stuff up from there. Not necessarily for monetary value, but for being able to just preserve
Yeah.
because when I was a kid, I never thought that it's decaying down there and it's going to one day just be gone.
Yeah.
Um,
It belongs in a museum.
that's
Right.
that's why I feel like. But since the ship's so fucked up, I feel like the best opportunity we would have there is to take pieces from the debris field. Not only personal effects, but there was chunks of the ship's walls where it exploded on the ground there. So why not try to preserve that or something of that nature? Um,
I'm with you, man. Say what you can.
I
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm gonna say this. Anything else that's a little older, like archaeologists would be out of a job if you know preserving that this sort of stuff is not fair game, right? Like
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
you have to try to preserve the past, otherwise, like how do we remember it? How do in 100 years is anyone really going to even know about the Titanic, right? Like
Like,
you kind of
Yeah,
need memento mori, like little pieces of the past to hold on to the memories.
yeah, I
oh,
agree. I agree a lot.
I mean, how much respect should we really give ghosts?
Yeah, what's the line between that and it being considered grave robbery? Um, I feel like with a lot of ships nowadays, I mean, they're probably easier to get to. We try to save what we can. Um,
Yeah,
a lot of stuff we try. So it feels to me a little disrespectful to just let it decay away. Um, Especially if it gets to a point where the ship's corroding, breaking down so much that even the plaques that they put down there for the people that died there are going to be lost. Why not?
yeah,
Or I know that there's a plaque. There's two plaques. There's I know of at least two plaques. I mean that one was put in the ship. One was left at the place that made the ship. So there is an actual plaque you can go and see and visit in person. But I feel like that's not enough. You know.
oh man, you gotta scrape up what you can, for all that's left is
Mhm.
dirt and memories.
Yeah. Even though I'm sure a lot of it's already just dirt. But there were, and when they were looking at the debris field, there were a lot of personal effects. I think I saw dresses, dolls, a lot of stuff. Um,
Yeah, what did people carry back then?
Dresses and dolls, apparently.
yeah.
That was just their everyday
Yeah.
carry.
I mean,
Uh,
it hasn't really changed much, has it? Besides phones.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair.
I mean, even then, instead of phones, they probably had like, you know, ways of writing shit down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like journals or
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And that's something that I think is a little bit more in depth and harder to do, which is like exploring the mud. Um, what's been preserved in the mud, because I believe there's a chance there's stuff that could be saved, or have
Yeah, there might
saved.
just be fossils.
Man, wouldn't that be wild?
Just bring up entire people.
Now, see, now at that point, it gets a little, well, should we? You know?
I mean,
Hmm.
only if there's like relatives that would get mad. But who even knows if they had a relative that was on the Titanic?
I mean, if I had one, I'm pretty sure I'd know about it, right?
I don't
Like,
think anybody knows.
I there's
okay.
there's they do a lot of people do know if they had relatives on the Titanic.
How
Uh,
long ago was this? How long ago was the Titanic? Like the
well,
Not,
1600s?
not,
it depends on if they pass it down and like family members told them. I would imagine if you looked it up. Um, but I mean, they did have a record of who was on there, who survived, who didn't survive. Um, like there was a luggage they saw, and they were like, "That's so and so's. She did not survive." She, kind of explained her and stuff. Um, so why not try to save some of that for anybody? I mean,
Yeah,
I think that it'd be fair to pull it up, and then if it's labeled or if it's easily acknowledged who it belonged to, why not contact the family, see if they even want to be.
yeah. Fill out a form if you
Yeah.
want to collect like your grandpa's locket or his shin bone, whatever's left. Like save everything. Save what you can. Nobody's
Hmm.
gonna care. Oh, you disturbed my grandpa's ghost. He died 1,000 years ago. You never even knew the man.
Yeah, that's that too.
I mean,
Go for it.
that would make a good conversation starters. Is that the shit? Oh, great story, great story. So you remember the Titanic? Well, great,
Yeah.
great, great uncle so and so.
And thanks for bringing my dad home like 1,000 years too late. Real cool of you.
I have a skull on display. Um,
That'd be so cool to have like your great grandfather's skull from the Titanic. You could bejewel that shit, leave
Actually,
it up on the mantelpiece. That's a
yeah.
conversation starter.
The Jordan. Yeah. Um, as shoes, I know shoes. There's lots of shoes. Um, but
That was back in the old days where you had to make shoes by hand with like leather and
mm-hmm.
turmoil.
Well, I mean, they still do, but it's just kind of done in China now, right?
Yeah, but they don't use like real animal products, right?
Yeah.
It's just like plastic
No.
and foam
Yeah.
plastic and rubber and glue
Yeah.
and the sweat
Yeah.
of children.
Yeah. Which you could say might be actually a little more valuable than animal product.
It's not that valuable. It's about 25 cents an
About
hour.
that, I guess so.
Um, God, it's so true. It's so sad and true. So, what I trying to get at a little bit is, why do you feel why do you guys feel like I personally feel like that Titanic is treated differently. I feel like other ships get salvaged more, other ships are explored more. I mean, I know the depth is a challenge, but I feel like the Titanic is treated differently than a lot of a lot of those things. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
do you, what are your guys' thoughts on that? What
I
before?
I think it's just romanticized, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like name one other shipwreck.
Yeah.
That's right, it's just the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
That's all anybody knows. Nobody knows the name of anything else. So that shit's fair game. Who's gonna complain?
Man, that's
Well,
so true. Go
I,
for it.
I think another part of it is the generation in which it happened, right? Like I think this goes with anything that happens in history that's noteworthy or at least that is remembered is the way people treat it is just the way people treat it at that time and that sort of
Yeah,
carries over, right?
you're
Like
probably right.
obviously when like World War I or World War II happened, people treated that a lot differently than people treat like the Korean War or Vietnam. At
Yeah,
that point, with the counterculture, it's like it's just treated and regarded differently. It's regarded with whatever was the feeling of the time, and
yeah.
because
Maybe it's who was lost. Maybe it's just because it was so many rich white fucks
No,
that went down.
well,
yeah,
We got to
that's
treat it with reverence.
well. So that's the
yeah,
thing is that a lot of people refer kind of what you just said, Stoba, almost where it's romanticized in the fact that both rich and poor died. A lot of rich and poor people died.
Wait, there were poor people on the Titanic.
Yes, it was
yeah.
one of the ships that ferried both the high class and the poorest of the poor to going to a new place to start a job. Um, it's also a lot of since there weren't enough lifeboats, mothers would turn down getting onto the ship or getting onto the lifeboat because their husband wasn't allowed to, or their children, or no, because their children were too old to, so they stayed back.
Oh man.
A lot of heroism in that sense, but also on the same side, uh, grown men who were fighting tooth and nail to get on the boat, forcing themselves, and the chaos that happened. They talked about
I
how
bet.
at first, the first few lifeboats went out, and then it's just everything started breaking down, all, human wise, and that it went to straight chaos. The way people reacted, how noble some of the people were, and how uh, sinister other people were to do what they can to get on a lifeboat.
Yeah, I bet you got the full range of human emotion.
Yeah.
Full range of human behavior, right? Like
Hmm.
you really see who someone is in that kind of moment.
Yeah. I think you're 100% right on that. I think that's a big part of why it's so romanticized. On why so many people live or are okay with it. Or not okay with it. Why it's so interesting. Um, but it's also part of why I feel like they should bring more pieces up or try to salvage what we can, save what we can, and put it in a museum. Um, the Cause I've seen and I've seen good chunks of it, not chunks of the ship itself, but personal items that have been saved. Uh,
Yeah.
but it seems so small compared to what it could be. And then also, I would personally love to even just have, or not have, but to see a piece from the ship that was taken out. And I mean like part of the ship itself, not just a bench or whatever.
Just like a big chunk
Yeah,
of
just
the hull or something.
yes, yeah. I know it's maybe kind of dumb, but that's part of my
No.
romanticized part of it, I guess.
I mean, how far down is this boat?
Three
This ship?
thousand meters, I believe, or feet, or whatever. I gotta look.
That's
Hold on, let me look it
a
up real
big
quick.
difference.
Yeah,
Also,
Yeah,
also, while you're looking that up, I gotta say, I don't think that's dumb. I mean, people feel and have like feel that way and have like chunks of the Berlin Wall when that went down. Like
mm-hmm,
people
yeah.
have their
mm-hmm.
little personal brick or whatever off of it. You know.
That's true. The Titanic is, oh yeah, that's right. 3,810 meters, approximately 12,500 feet.
That's like 2 miles.
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah,
So that's way too deep to like just build a wall around it and drain it.
right, yeah. We'll
What a
talk.
sh-
Sorry, go for it.
That's all I got.
Well, let's say, which we'll talk a little about when we talk about Ocean Gate, and what happened with that. Um,
Man.
yeah, so
So it's probably expensive bringing stuff up, huh?
mm-hmm. That's
Because
something.
only thing you can get down are like submersibles, and they're
Mm-hmm,
like really tiny.
mm-hmm.
Jeez,
Yeah.
The
it's expensive.
man submersibles uh are decent sized by what I looked at, but the problem that they run into with that is you need a massive ship to basically carry the submersible there and back. So you'd probably
Right.
need like two or three ships just to be able to pull up a big chunk of the ship if you were to attempt to do
Yeah.
that. And then you of course have to worry about it just breaking apart when you go to pick it up. Um, so I mean,
Oh,
it's something that's never gonna happen. I doubt it will ever happen. But
okay, okay. Alternative idea, and I'm thinking off the top of my head. Could we build a dome around the crash and just preserve it like a museum in place? How hard is it to construct 2 miles beneath the ocean surface?
it's pretty hard. Uh, it's like on the borderline where things start to become extremely hard to do down there, by what I read at least.
Dude,
Um,
I don't even know how to swim. I don't think I could do that in 10 feet of water.
I'll be real with you. If I could go down there in like one of those deep sea diving suits, I would. But it's
Like a Victorian era diving apparatus.
yeah, or
With the
the
bellows and everything.
or those guys that go down to work on cable lines in the ocean. You know what
Oh
I'm talking
yeah,
about?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know
Yeah.
those.
Where they fill your suit with water so the pressure is there.
And you breathe like helium and stuff.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
The pressure at the depth is about 380 atmospheres, or roughly 5,600
Oh,
psi.
that's a lot of pounds per square inch.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Mm.
So I mean, it's in a bad spot. Just
Yeah, that is. They did not crash somewhere shallow,
no. That shit went down.
and it
I
stayed
mean,
down.
it'd be weird if they did crash somewhere shallow. It's like, well, I could just swim to the shore, you know, like
Yeah.
kind of amazing we can even visit it. That's
It
so far down.
Yeah.
it is. There's more and more submersibles that are able to visit. They even have like I think some touristy stuff that you can, if you're rich enough, you can visit it. Um,
Wow.
but not a lot. And that's how we'll segue into the Ocean Gate stuff. Is that's kind of what they were trying to do is make it more. The dude that ran it and that is dead down there with it was trying to build a submersible that would be easy to mass produce and that would be easy to transfer, not needing a big ship. You could do it with a much smaller ship to move the submersible around and just basically uh, hold on to the ability to have tourists go down there. It went it went really bad for them because they went with carbon fiber. Uh, and man, the
And we're talking 5,000 pounds per square inch.
yeah 5,600 psi.
That's trusting that to carbon fiber. Dude,
So
I can't even blow up like a bicycle tire at like 40, 50 psi without like cringing a little bit.
hmm
I'm like, if this thing pops, I'm gonna die.
yeah yeah
Imagine like putting your entire body into like a carbon fiber hull and going down to those depths.
dude. So uh, they had Boeing when they first started help them build this submersible. Uh, and the Boeing people told
Boeing renowned for their safety these days,
oh
right?
yeah
Exactly.
Boeing told them, so what happens when you go down in it is you'll hear a lot of cracking and popping because what you're hearing is the little fibers that are in the tube breaking. Um, so what they did is they set up a sound system that listened to the tube itself and it would record the cracking and breaking. And the thought process behind that is you once you get a certain depth, if it's going spiking too much, you go back up so you don't die. Uh,
Wow. So a
so
certain level of cracking and breaking is expected. And you're totally cool with
mhm
that.
mhm yeah they were, and the sad thing about it is like it really worked. They were able to get down to 3,600 feet, 3,800 feet. I mean, they could visit it. I think they even did once or twice. But the problem is the dude's hubris. Like you said earlier, this guy,
Yeah.
this guy. I mean, this guy fired anybody that disagreed with him, which is whatever his business. But what they talked about in the document was that listening device uh, through 80 trips of diving. Um, I mean, they only went down like
80.
yeah. They only actually went like fully down, I think 4 or 5 times to near that depth.
Huh.
I'm probably wrong about that. I think maybe 10 or something. But uh, uh, they what they noticed is in the recording on the 80th trip, it was all right. On the 81st, 82nd, and 83rd trip, there was a very large amount that was just cracking and breaking. They even the first or second iteration of the ship the submersible that they going to use, they even found a crack on it once when they had to swap it all over and they fired one of the dudes. So I mean, there was just so many red flags that this will not work how you want it to work. But the problem is like between the 75th and the 80th trip, they stopped listening to that device that told them, "Hey, your ship's breaking."
Like the
So,
damage is cumulative, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you
Yeah.
hear it snapping and crackling and popping,
Yeah.
and
The,
then you come up and then you go back down in the same ship, it's just getting worse and worse every time.
yeah.
You gotta treat it like it's disposable. You gotta like
Ex-
have a new hull or something, right? You
exactly.
can't just keep doing that. It's like reusing a condom
Mm-hmm.
infinitely. Like it's gonna go bad eventually.
He was yes.
wait. You can't do that.
Abe, Abe, my man,
Oh,
talk
oh shit.
talk to me later.
I gotta make a phone call.
Yeah, got things to check out. Um,
Nah.
yeah. But yeah, and that's the thing is, I think that if he were to have gone the route of it's a disposable hull to be swapped
Yeah,
out, it would have been fine. He could have made a business around that, not knowing, of course, with me not knowing how much it costs to make a hull that with carbon fiber. I'm sure it's a lot.
I hear carbon fiber's expensive. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, but if you're a millionaire, billionaire like he is and his investors, it,
yeah.
the turnaround could be worth it, possibly, I bet. Especially if you can get so many trips out of it. Um, but they made so many fucking mistakes, man. It is incredibly arrogant the amount of stuff that he ignored to push it.
Yeah.
Um, which I get. I mean, I get what he was trying to do and trying to make a name for himself, for trying to.
History repeats itself, man.
Yeah,
Hubris.
it really does.
Hmm.
Well, at least like hundreds of people didn't die in that one, right? How many people lost their lives in that
Five.
disaster?
Yeah, I think it was five. His
Wow.
father, son, the CEO, and then two other tourists that went down with him.
Oh, that's bad luck as a tourist.
Yeah. Well, another thing too is
Oh,
like, there's so many people that paid to be a part of it, quote unquote. Um, and the way they did that is like you or me could have gone on the ship not the submersible, but the ship that was going to have the submersible,
Oh yeah.
and pay to be there, not to, and the way they got around, because once you do that and you accept money for that, you have to qualify certain things that safety wise, all that stuff. So the
What the
way,
hell were they doing? Running like a Kickstarter?
so what they did is they said, okay, Stoba, you're gonna come with us. You're gonna be a mission specialist. Uh,
Oh,
and
so cool.
and
How much money did I have to pay to be a mission specialist
a lot,
on the boat that doesn't even go under the water?
like thousands. Um, and what that means is that you have a job to do on the ship. You have to have a job to do on a ship, otherwise you're considered a passenger. So they would have the mission specialist people be like, okay, Stoba, you're going to seal shut um, the enclosure by bolting it shut for the submersible.
You're fucking kidding
No,
me. These
no.
people paid money to do work
Mm-hmm.
and have responsibilities.
Yes, yeah. And
How
hopefully not
much
mess it up.
money do you have to have in your life for that to seem reasonable at all?
I mean, that's again, you get back to the romanticizing of the Titanic. You're a part of it. You got to be part of a ship of a deep dive that got to see pictures and all that stuff of it.
I can't afford steaks except for birthdays. I'm not buying tickets to like be a worker on a ship. That's insane.
Yeah,
Is that a real business model?
yeah, yeah.
Because
It's
I've been living my life entirely wrong if I can make people pay me to do work for me.
oh well, I mean, completely off topic, but like look at stuff like Roblox. That's
hmm
exactly what the model is. You get your user to be your
Oh,
worker to create content, and then you
yeah.
get money for it. You then do shit.
yeah,
Monetizing the kids. Yeah.
yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
There's a few games that actually do that, where like it's
Hmm.
here's a level creator for a game, uh, make people make levels for it, but they're still putting work into it and not getting anything from it. I mean, same with mods for a lot of video games, where
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's people are willing to pay money for just so much stuff if they're able to. I mean, if they have it,
Yeah.
or if
Your
it's
special interest, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, they might have actually gotten the model from that because they use like a Logitech. wireless controller to like pilot the thing.
They used they used a PlayStation controller. It looked like it was PlayStation 3 controllers, I bet. And yeah, Logitech I think as well. Some Bluetooth controllers. Um which
Wait, you're telling me they were using wireless to control the sub?
Yeah,
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 Why? You're in the sub. Why
yeah.
does it have to be wireless?
I believe the guy was all about like making it look fantastic.
I think I'm just
hmm
old because I don't trust wireless anything. I don't even trust my
yeah.
cell phone.
Yeah. I mean, it drops. You just keep floating. I mean,
Oh my god. That's a real bad Bluetooth error.
yeah.
Oh, I
Oh
hope it
shit! I
reconnects
forgot to
or we're
charge
all
it.
gonna fucking die.
Oh shit!
Um, and then but yeah, the cracking, man. I can't believe that there's so many people that went on on that submersible before it busted that it would hear that snapping and cracking, but like I'm not going down there again.
Nah, dude.
um, but I do feel like there is. I'll be real with you. Based off what I saw about carbon fiber, I think that there's a model there. It's just they can't go that deep. Uh, I think that you could build a submersible out of carbon fiber as long as it's interchangeable hull.
I
If
mean,
that
what's an acceptable level of risk for your life? Right? Is it like a
yeah
1% chance? A 5%, like 10%? Like what's
Nah,
the
I
risk that
wouldn't.
you dive that deep?
I
yes
wouldn't even take 1%.
No,
Fuck
me
that.
either. I don't like any situation where one failure can result in my death. Like I don't even want to stand on the edge of a building in case there's like a
against the
earthquake
wind.
or a gust of wind.
Yeah,
I'm not
No.
trusting like creaky poppy carbon fiber with my life. Put me in a steel sphere. But even then, like what happens if it just sinks? Oh god, then you're trapped on the bottom.
I think that's something they said is they're out of like the five submarines that are made for it that can go that deep. They use titanium or steel. See, I'd feel safer in titanium. I feel like I don't know the strength difference, but I feel like steel just is strong, but it's
Steel can deform easier. I
yeah.
know titanium it's more likely to like crack and break than steel because steel can bend a little bit. But I don't know much about material science.
I think
I
But
don't either,
I trust
but I
building them more
know.
than carbon fiber.
Well, I know anytime you buy like titanium cookware, it's a little more pricey. So that's my barometer.
Yeah, if
I
it
love
costs more,
that.
it's probably better.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
of course. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Someone build a submarine out of straight diamond.
There you go.
Wait, what? I wish I knew more about carbon fiber. The thing is like, man, carbon fiber. They were showing how they made it. It's basically 3D printed. It's
Oh,
a mixture of fiber and resin, more or less. Um, but it's funny when they showed the video of like the first tube they got, you could see the giant gaps in the carbon fiber. I just I think maybe it'd be good for like small dives. But then like you go into they showed there's acrylic diving units where
Oh yeah.
it's just a giant glass ball that you're in.
Whoa.
oh.
That freaked me out.
I think I'd still trust acrylic more than like a carbon fiber.
I could see that.
Look, look. When it goes when it comes down to it, a lot of the shit that's down there scares the fuck out of me. Like you ever see those videos
Hmm.
of like deep sea creatures? So the less visibility, the better. I still wouldn't want to go down there, but fuck that shit.
Man, that too. The ability to be able to see down there is so rough. They talked about how even with like the brightest lights, you basically get 2 feet in front of you. They showed them approaching, not Ocean Gate, but a different company, a different video, approaching the stern or the bow, the front of the Titanic. I forget what the terminology is. The front of the Titanic, and I think it's the bow.
I
And
think
like,
it's also the stern.
okay. And they were approaching it, and like they're like, okay, we're almost on top of it. And just it just creeps out of the darkness. Like it is,
If you didn't see it, you'd
yeah,
fucking hit your face on it.
yeah. If you didn't approach it slowly, you'd slam into it. Um,
Yeah.
Now we talked a little about that. Uh, the a big part of that, or a big part of ocean stuff is just like if you're on a ship and something bad happens, you're pretty much fucked. There's no. I feel like you're safer with a plane crash. I mean, there's a higher chance of survivability, I would imagine. I could be
Yeah.
extremely wrong. Um, but even like the Titanic, they talked about how even if they had enough lifeboats, it wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have saved more people because of how quickly or how it went down. Like we said, there was still one lifeboat that they were trying to get into the water, but
I
it's too
didn't
late.
even do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of that had to do because people were so nonchalant about it. The whole it's unsinkable. We're not sinking. It's not happening. But and then it just turned into chaos. Uh, and the chaos part plays a big part of it. We were watching this other documentary about the ship cruise that happened recently where they lost their complete power, and it was just floating in the Gulf of Mexico pretty much for like a couple days, where they had to grab it with tugboats and take it to.
Like a big cruise ship.
Yes, yeah.
Whoa, wow.
It's called the poop cruise because what happened is since there was no
Hell
electricity,
yeah.
since there was no electricity, people had to poop into bags and pee
Oh
down the
man.
shower because the toilets won't flush, the plumbing didn't work at all.
Oh, what a dream.
Oh yeah. Um, and
That's that's just electric.
yeah, we're on a cruise at least.
Wow.
Um, and what happened too with it is like near the day 3 and day 4 of it, people started to more chaos kind of broke out where people started pairing off into sections and be like, "This is my area. This is my deck area. You guys have to stay away."
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Almost broke out the race wars, man.
yeah.
What are the
What kind of deal do you think
eventually?
they get?
What do you
Like
say?
what kind of deal you think they got with like the ship company that sold them the tickets? You think they get like vouchers for
They
free tickets in the future?
so
They get cut a check?
so they I think they said like 50,000 or 5,000 or something settled. Got
Oh my
settlements.
god. I wish I was on that boat.
But the thing is in the ticket when you bought it, there's in the fine print, there's no guarantee for your safety, no guarantee for
Yeah.
anything that was labeled in the ticket, so they couldn't actually sue them. So they gave everybody a free ticket for another cruise, and some people got a little money.
I'd take it. That seems pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I don't know the amount they got though, but
But then you also get to brag about being on the poop cruise like your whole life.
yeah,
Hmm.
Pretty good.
they've been fucking nuts. They had video footage from it. Once the tugboats started pulling it, it made the ship lean to one side, so all the urine and shit and everything just fucking
Hope
sloshed
you're on the
over.
right side of the
Yeah,
boat.
yeah, exactly.
Man,
Those are
damn.
probably the people that got the money.
I'd imagine. I mean, it is just a petri dish of fucking disease and
Uh,
Yeah, if there's any justice in this world.
um, also like the lights out, and that's something I think about with Titanic, how they were able to keep the lights on as long as they did by sacrificing. It made it. They showed imagine waking up and there being no lights at all anywhere and just being in a confined space with no windows.
Just corridor after
Yeah,
corridor. You'd never find your way
Mm.
out.
yeah, exactly.
That'd be horrible. Make you wish you had a damn flashlight.
Well, okay. So this makes me think though. This situation. I mean, there's kind of a reason why certain things get romanticized. Like compare the Titanic to like, oh, I was on the poop cruise or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's like, can you imagine some rich old people back in the day worried about where they're shitting and pissing? Like it just, like I
That's
mean, come on.
that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. I wonder if there was anything close to that back then. Um, I personally feel like they should have on the poop cruise designated like a section where it's okay to shit and piss next to the siding, and and then they would have like a crew member just shovel that shit off the side of the off the side of the cruise.
That's a hell of
Well,
a job right there.
Yeah.
well, I think back in the day, back when they had like sailboats or whatever, that's the way they did it.
Hmm.
Like they just literally had like by the edge of the ship certain areas where they kind of you just sat and it went straight to the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just lean right off the boat and go for it.
yeah,
I mean, it's not that long ago that we were just like peeing and pooping into bedpans and throwing it out the window, right?
God, that's true. Yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy how a
I
lot
was
of
doing that in like the 90s.
Hmm.
that. Some people still do it. Um,
I mean, what else are you going to do? Pay a plumber? Hell no.
I don't know. No. I remember when we moved to Florida, we didn't have water for like the first week. So what we did is when we'd use the bathroom, we would go to the pond we lived on next to a pond. We'd walk over to the pond with a bucket, take water from the pond and pour it into
Yeah.
uh, the the toilet to activate the
Manual
yeah,
flush
yeah,
cycle.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there.
And then if you have
We did something. We did something similar when I was in Mexico in the rehab. So we would mop in the mornings, and then all the mop water we would save for like flushing.
Yeah,
oh
gray
wow,
water.
Yeah.
that's smart. Um, a little
Mhm.
gross, but smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you want to save your fresh water for drinking and cooking
Yeah.
ramen.
Yeah.
And what?
Actually, though, I was in the nicer room. So one of the features of the nicer room that my family paid a little extra for, we had actual flushing toilets, and every now and then we had hot showers. I just had to time it right for whenever the owner in front was gonna shower. That meant the boiler was on. So you know,
That's
Wow.
awesome. So
yeah.
that's
Living the dream.
that's
Oh yeah.
that's that's so amazingly awesome. I know that owner's gonna take a shower. His ass is gonna have a warm shower. I'm gonna have a warm shower.
Exactly. Exactly.
Man, and that's stuff people don't think about. You know, like so many people are so uh, used to having it a certain way. So when you run into that, it can be such a culture shock.
Yeah, people are so accustomed to their hot waters and their flushing toilets and their microwaves and their antibiotics.
Their ability to live disease free.
They just don't appreciate the simple stuff, like
God,
not getting sepsis.
man, that reminds me of Thumbs Up America. Remember that? I think it was Stobo. Were you the one that told me that?
Yeah,
Yes.
David Joe hitchhiking across the country.
Yes, when they went on the Mississippi River on a raft and they had their feet in the water, and they said they had to pull their feet out of the water because it started to burn and tingle, and they looked over to the right and there was just a factory dumping chemicals into the water.
Just a waste barrel
Yes,
leak.
yeah.
Something wrong with the raft. Yeah.
God, man. Um, the
That's classic America right there.
It really is. So many people just don't recognize the destruction that we're doing around us. I always envision the world as an aquarium. At some point, shit needs to be cleaned up. Otherwise, we die to the chemicals around us.
Yeah, man. I feel you, dude. I
Well,
had a fish that I did not take care of when I was like 7 years old. Oscar, he lived in a tank
Hmm.
that was never cleaned. It became so murky you couldn't see anything. He was a ravenous fish. Anytime you fed him, he'd like jump up and eat it
Wow.
with such force that he'd bite your fingers.
Hmm.
I don't even know what he was. I don't know what kind of fish he was. Might have been wild caught from a creek. But that dude was like a toxic mutant. I wonder where he is today.
Probably dead. But you
I
never
hope
know.
so. He lived a tortured life.
It's rough. That is rough.
You
Oh man,
shouldn't leave like 7-year-old children in charge of like
anything.
keeping animals alive like that. Really, they need supervision. Obviously, nobody was looking after me.
Man, that's the thing, man. With fish too, people just don't give a fuck about fish, like at
yeah,
all.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
as a person who fishes, there's so many, so many times where a fish is injured, a fish is hurt, a fish is
yeah.
destroyed, and it's
You
just
can
like,
gut hook fish, all
yeah,
kinds of gnarly
it's
stuff.
like
Hook
oh,
them by the gills.
hmm my buddy once, the first time we were out fishing, we were on his boat, a very just like a little John boat, um, on a very small pond. He caught a bass. The bass swallowed his hook. He was like, "What do I do?" I said, "Well, the fish is fucked. So you either figure out a way to get it out or cut the line, but the fish is fucked." And he's like sitting there messing with it. After like a couple minutes, he finally gets the hook out by ripping it out.
Oh man.
Yeah. Um, he put the fish back. The fish swam for a second, and then it just kind of floated. And we were floating too, so it just floated along with us.
Oh
Yeah, he
man.
said he felt so bad. I was like, man, you're putting a metal hook into fish's mouths and ripping them out of the water so they can suffocate while you take the hook out. You, you're you're over time going to do so much more damage to so many more fish. Uh, if you truly care about it, you would just stop fishing. So we fished some more.
That's a fair argument, man. Yeah. But
yeah,
imagine all the emotional damage you're causing these fish.
right, right.
They go back to their families. They tell them what happened. You'll never believe what happened to me.
I was abducted.
The strange, the strange creature. I think it's from like fucking outer space or whatever. Took me out the
There's a
water.
whole world up there above the water.
Whole family's just dismissive. Like, yeah, yeah, Johnny, just go play with your sister.
They're just ostracized their whole lives. Nobody ever believes them.
Mhm.
And the ostracized reminds me of people would show would go to zoos and show monkeys the photos and videos on their phone to like one monkey, and that monkey became ostracized by the rest of the rest of the animals because of how it traumatized them, that
Oh man.
or something like that. Yeah, I remember just reading this article about it. The uh, the ape, the chimp, the whatever, um, would drastically change how it reacted compared to before, compared to after, and it would become, like I said, ostracized by the rest of them and disassociated by the rest of them. In my head, I think what you were saying, the dude, there's this dude showed me a mirror, and then all of a sudden stuff started happening. You know,
Yeah.
and
They'll never
everybody,
believe you.
yeah, they never believe it. There's like whatever, Johnny, you gotta fend for yourself now.
Yeah. Those fish go home with PTSD.
Yeah,
and they
imagine.
don't get support from the community they need.
No, they gotta figure it out on their own.
Yeah.
So we're sitting at. Let's go for it.
I was gonna say like shit. I had to deal with my own trauma. Fuck that fish. She has to fend for herself too. Shit.
Yeah, I mean that's something I always kind of wish is we were able to understand more about what affected animals, how they react and feel. I hate that people suggest that animals have no feelings at all, that they're looked down upon because of belief or whatever, that they're lesser than us, um, because we don't truly know, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's absurd.
Yeah, I'm good.
Like animals definitely live their own lives.
Hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think a lot of animals are delicious, and I'm more than willing to cut their lives short in order to fill my belly. But I mean, that's not to take away from them, man. They probably live full,
Yeah,
rich lives.
I agree. I when I fish, I always catch and release. Like I said though, there's still that percentage where it's just they're fucked from me, but
Yeah.
it's the way we are, sadly.
I mean, there's
Well,
worse deaths for a fish,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, that's true.
Like wild animals don't usually meet peaceful ends. Whether you're a deer, whether you're a wolf, whether you're a fish,
Oh man.
you're either gonna get weakened, something's gonna eat you while you're alive.
So
You're gonna get sick and die.
I was fishing with my buddy. We were at his stepfather's friend's place or something. The guy said, "Hey, there is an albino catfish that is in this pond. I need it gone. It's killing my fish. It's eating my fish because of how big it's getting." He said, "If you guys catch it, do not put it back in." So I caught it, surprisingly, um,
Wow.
and
That feels like you were given a quest by an NPC.
yeah, it really was because I was like, "There's no way we're gonna catch this motherfucker," and I caught him. He was massive. I mean, not he was as long as my arm, maybe almost. I mean, he was pretty big.
That's a big fish. Whoa.
Yeah. Uh,
mhm.
so we had to get rid of it. So I was like, so what are we doing with it? Are we gonna eat it or what? And they were like, no, we don't have the ability to cut it up and eat it right now. So we tossed it in the woods, and like I think 30 minutes to an hour later, we can hear like raccoons just going to town on them.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, there's worse ways for a fish to die.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, because
Oh my god.
I think that the fish would still be alive after that amount of time. It takes a while for them to die from not being able to breathe.
Asphyxiation.
Yeah,
Yeah. You didn't even put it out of its misery. It's
no.
just sitting there gasping. And you're like, let's throw it in the
Well,
woods.
that's the thing. I thought the dude was going to because the stepfather he was holding it. Um, and he just kind of walked off to the side and then tossed it. I was thinking, oh my god, I would have at least hit it with a fucking rock or something.
Yeah. Smash
Put it
its
out
head
of its
and
misery.
anything.
Yeah, but I think it's fair though because humans have died the inverse way. Like caught out in the middle of the sea,
Hmm.
fucking floating along, barely being able to stay afloat still. And all of a sudden they see that fin pop out of the water, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh
It,
well,
it's a dolphin. It's gonna fuck me.
no.
Oh no. Back to the dolphin.
uh, just in general, yeah. That's a fair point, Abe. There is a balance there.
Yeah,
Um.
uh, it, it's the original contract of nature, right? Like
Hmm.
we as humans, we like to like think ourselves separate, but we're still a part of it.
Yeah.
Like shit eats us all the time. Maybe not like we eat them now, but it still happens. It's just part of the contract of being alive, right?
Yeah, that's true. We could always die in horrible ways. We don't even know
Hmm.
if a peaceful death is actually peaceful.
You know.
Be crushed to death in a submersible any day.
At least it's hopefully quick. I mean, uh, instantaneous. But it's gotta be. It had to be so jarring going down there and hearing it crack and pop, and then all of a sudden, boop.
Yeah, it's a lot of terror leading up to a really bad end.
Yeah. So we're sitting at an hour, 15 minutes roughly. Do you guys want to keep going?
How has it already been an hour and
I
15
I
minutes?
know
Time flies, man. Time
it
flies.
really
Wow.
does.
I learned a lot about the Titanic, actually. It's been very educational.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot to go with that with Titanic. There's so much. I mean, that's the thing too is it's been studied so much. So many of the people that wrote accounts of what happened. Uh, it's amazing. There's so much information out there. But again, it's
And
romanticized a bit. I mean, there's other shipwrecks that are probably far worse or similar
if
to
we
it.
knew their names,
Yeah,
yeah,
but we don't.
no,
Yeah.
I always
no,
think
we're
about,
I
next
mean,
filled with brown people.
you know, I mean, we're Americans, so we have an excuse, right?
yeah, we're ignorant.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
American ignorance.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, there's a reason why everyone knows the name Coca-Cola and not like some weird, fucking French soda or whatever. Do they make soda over there?
yeah. There's a certain like I've seen Italian sodas. We saw some at work.
Yeah.
Um, but it's true. There's a reason we know of that stuff, but not of others. It's
Hmm.
kind of the way it goes with capitalism.
And so
Yeah.
it goes.
So, would you guys like to shift to a different topic, or would you want to cut it here? What you feeling?
Hey man, I'm cool. Do whatever. I'm I'm big chilling here.
I have a little more time. I don't want to go too long
Mm-hmm.
because I kicked my roommate out of the room. So
Oh no,
Oh
I feel
no.
that. Okay, so let's at least talk about some of the stuff we. Oh, so we talked about Titanic. We talked about Ocean Gate, Poop Cruise,
A fish.
a fish.
fish.
Yeah, a lot of ocean stuff. Uh, let's shift over to some paranormal stuff. We'll do it for like another 30 minutes or so, if that. Um,
Sounds
maybe.
good.
Is you sure?
Yeah, that sounds about good.
Okay,
30 minutes. I could do another 30.
I'll keep an eye on the clock. Um, and then next week we'll divert away from ocean stuff. I think we covered a lot about that. I like.
There's so much more we could cover.
There's so much more. I want to talk about the Bermuda Triangle, shit like that. The
Ooh,
Mariana
that's a
Trench.
crossover with ocean and ghosts.
Yes. Yeah. Even though it's believed it's just methane gas being released, that
Ah man, that shit's aliens. I
I
don't believe nobody that tells me it's just gas.
I mean I could see how it could screw a ship over. They talked about how like if it's whatever next we'll see we'll plan that out. But we're gonna take a break from ocean stuff I think next week or whenever we get back together. Um,
Okay, okay.
so anyways, paranormal. I want to talk a little bit about alien stuff. The reason being that man, have you seen those metal spheres in South
The
Med?
Boogospheres.
Yes, yeah.
I've heard of these. I have not done a deep dive into it.
I haven't done a super deep dive into it. I'm very skeptical of it to be real with you.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
same with the little mummified beings that they found. Um, with the egg inside them and the metal piece in
What
the
the
chest.
hell are you talking about? Mummified remains with eggs inside of them.
So again, I think the same group of people, maybe, or at least one of them. One of the guys that has examined the spheres also examined these mummified beings. They're so tiny. Um, I mean, like maybe 3 feet, something
That's
like that.
pretty big. I'd say 3 feet's all right, a good size.
Maybe two. They're pretty small. I'd have to look it up again. Um,
That's bigger than most Pokemon.
it's very that's true. They believe that a lot of people believe that it's a hoax where people doctored like took bones from animals, so on and so forth. They did a CAT scan of them, and one of them there has a what looks like an egg shape in its lower abdomen. Well, both of them have
Mm.
metal plates in their chest. Um,
What?
or what they believe is metal plates. Um, but yeah, they're again from South America. They found some. Um, but people also believe it's these. Some people make smaller versions of them, like doll versions of them. But a lot of the stuff that I think is, I believe that there's something more to it. But again, people believe hoax. Just like the
Could just
spheres.
be doll makers, man.
Yeah.
You ever seen those people that make like super realistic babies
Oh yeah, yeah.
with like
I-
realistic everything? It's super creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I
There's a
don't know. They got like a destiny to like do creepy shit. Some people are just born to be creeps.
well
I guess that's true.
with the baby dolls. I mean, there. I remember reading about this. There it kind of stemmed from to help mothers who lost a child or
Well,
um
now I feel like an asshole.
yeah should
I didn't even think of that. Fuck
um
it.
Right,
My
uh
apologies to all the mothers out there.
or for people who want to have a kid but they're unable to, so this gives them a chance to kind of experience it a little bit.
Oh shit.
A lot of sad stuff that still would just
I just
basically shit
I
on.
feel fucking worse and worse every second.
um, but that's where I believe that stemmed from at first, and now it's kind of just its own thing where people they make creepy real dolls. Um, but also that's a
Okay,
matter of
there are still creeps out there,
oh
like
yeah, yeah, there's yeah,
definitely like mothers who've lost their children,
hmm
people who can't have babies. That's one thing. But there's creeps who just love that shit for no reason.
yeah, there's
well, I will say at that point, like if you're really like able to be a parent, just adopt. Like there's alternatives.
That's
Like
true.
do something
There is
good
no shortage of babies who need
yeah.
some love.
it's
Go steal one or something. I don't know.
Don't steal a baby.
don't steal
Okay,
baby,
don't steal, baby.
don't steal baby,
Show notes, don't steal babies.
don't steal babies. And if
Okay,
you do, don't get caught.
That's
right,
right.
right.
um, but man, how do we go from aliens to stealing babies? Um,
Only in the sandpit.
only in the sandpit.
There you go.
Love it. Uh, so
Well, see this.
go for it.
This is the problem. This is a problem. Aliens coming to this world stealing our babies. You know, just like the other aliens stealing our jobs.
That is
Oh
actually
man.
that is
Blame the aliens for everything.
that is an
Yep.
actual thing where people believe that their baby that's inside them was stolen by alien. There's the conception that there's an alien species that is unable to reproduce, and the only way they can make more of themselves is by harvesting our eggs and sperm and things of that nature. Um, some people even believe that some people are hybrids and things of that nature. Uh, so you're actually borderlining on part of that right there. Um,
Wow.
God, I was listening to a song the other day where they sang about it, where they're like, talking about how we come in peace. We just want to reproduce or something. Is a good song. But anyways,
That's dope, man. If the aliens just want to fuck, I had no idea. Like, sign me up. Can I get on like Tinder or some shit for the aliens?
an alien
I
Tinder.
got, I got plenty of sperm to donate. Just tell them to call me. Tell them to call me.
Maybe they've already taken some. You just don't
No,
remember.
they definitely haven't. I keep track. I got a spreadsheet.
you, you
It,
weigh it out.
I don't want to go into details.
send it out to the lab.
I got a whole system.
How's the count going? But I mean that is something that some people do believe has happened to them as well. Um, the
That's
sphere.
gotta suck, man.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, the God what was it Resident Alien? I think I told you about that series, Stoba.
Oh yeah.
They actually talk about that and how that happened in one of the episodes. Well, two of the episodes, kind of, or a few of the episodes where they talk about how one guy's like, they took my child, they abduct me every now and again so I can see my child. That's actually something that a lot of people believe has happened to them, where their child was taken, they're abducted later in life so they can meet their child and see their child, and then so they have the knowledge of the child as well.
I
Um,
can't imagine like a worse feeling in the world than like losing a child and
yes,
like not having a solid answer for what happened to him.
yes,
That has to haunt you.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I think they handle it pretty well in the show. Is like in one of the last episodes of the last season I saw, the last that's streaming right now. I think season two maybe. At the end of the season, they had people account what they've actually gone through, and then also this episode itself kind of went into it.
Yeah.
Um, but how they were pregnant early in the pregnancy, and then out of nowhere, the baby was just gone completely. Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, you're right. I think that has to be so jarring and um, scary.
It's traumatizing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, especially if you start to have these memories of that, or if you later in life get readapted and you have that memory of seeing your child grown up through, a wall.
Yeah. And
uh,
how do you express that to people? Like, how do you tell a
mhm.
psychologist that and have them like try to even believe you? That's
They won't. I mean, they
yeah,
won't.
it's horrible.
Yeah. All they can do is help you try to cope with the loss. It's very sad. Uh, so those spheres, I'm on the fence about them, because especially since recently there was another one seen that looks similar to the other one that was actually captured. But the thing is, like, why
Yeah.
they need to just cut that shit open, in my opinion.
Yeah, the footage just seems too good. Every time I've seen a video, it's better than any other UFO footage I've seen in my life.
That's the sad thing about a lot of the stuff with aliens too, is we're so doctored to be more accepting of the blurry photos
Yeah.
than the non. So when we
Same
actually,
same with Bigfoot, right? The
yeah,
second you see like a good video, you're like, oh, it's obviously bullshit.
hmm it's slowly turning into, oh, this is AI generated. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean that's we need the proof in the pudding, and we're lacking the proof even more. So we're getting further and
Yeah.
further away from it.
And the second you get the proof, it's too good and nobody believes
Hmm
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like we gotta just cut that shit open. I don't see why they haven't. I think they did some X-ray scans on it recently, but I never looked into that, or I haven't seen anything about it come out. Another thing too is that guy I talked about, who's part of that, and also took to the mummified remains of the two beings to the Mexican government, and they released that, hey, these are alien beings. He's same guy. He's kind of known to always push the limit on that,
Yeah.
where people believe it's hoaxes, him trying to make a dollar, that type of stuff. So I feel like with things of that nature, we need to move more towards dissection, taking apart, proving that's real than not. Because even those beings the mummified beings that they say is could be aliens, they've said, oh, it's if you take a goat's head and you take the skull of it and alter it, you can make that be the head of it. But I feel like that we're reaching, so we need to find better ways to prove what we believe is real than not. Um, since we're trying to base it more in a scientific way. Otherwise, it's just a belief system, and in my opinion, it turns it into you have the faith of aliens or you don't have the faith of the aliens.
Right. I know a lot of
Yeah.
times you could do like DNA testing on remains,
Mm-hmm.
try to get some fresh DNA somewhere from the body. But
Going back to the
sometimes
semen, aren't we?
So
it's so inconclusive so many times, right?
yeah,
Or it comes up like 95% human, and they're like, "Oh, it's obviously contaminated."
I believe they did do a DNA test on it. They said that there's no way it's human at all, and that the DNA doesn't match with any known animals that they could prove. But I don't know. We don't know what all they've
Yeah,
done.
that doesn't advance you anywhere
Yeah,
because then people will just say, "Oh, we messed it up.
yeah.
It's a bad sample. It doesn't match anything."
It's inconclusive. It basically.
Yeah,
Um, since we have no medium to, like put it
compare it
against.
to, yeah,
Uh, and that's also, man, part of the thing that I believe is like I feel like aliens aren't visiting us. I feel like they if they're here, they're here, or they're not here, they're not here. I run into I have a small theory of uh they're not we don't have aliens, we have other beings that live on Earth, we just don't know about them. I
yeah,
attested to um if cockroaches were as tall as us and as smart as us, uh would we not hide from them? Because they outnumber us so much. It'd be so
yeah,
easy for that many insects or whatever that produce or a being that produces that many beings of itself to overrun us. The numbers just wouldn't be good in our favor. I feel like humans are essentially kind of like that, where our numbers are growing so much so fast that maybe these other beings are unable to produce
yeah.
as much as us. Um,
I think that's a fair line of thought. Yeah, like the ultra terrestrials, they've been here all along, under the
Well, I mean,
seas, under the rocks, under the mountains.
I mean, when you really break it down, you have to also think motivation,
mhm,
right? Now, if they are here, then is this sort of a Jane Goodall situation where they're like blending among us to study, or just because just as if they're anything like us, if any intelligent being is sort of like us, then curiosity is always going to be a thing, right? Like
mhm.
Yeah,
so, why not study these strange, great ape thing, hairless ape things that wear clothes and do this weird thing that no other creature on this world is doing. Like it. I mean, I don't. If that shit was happening with anything else, like you see a little lobster in a casino, I'd be like, "What the fuck's going on here?" Like, let me look at it for a while. You know?
yeah,
Um, that another thing too is like the whole something maybe similar to North Sentinel Island. You guys know about that?
yeah, yeah.
No.
That's the uncontacted tribe, right? Anybody
Mhm.
that tries to
Oh,
contact them gets like arrowed and speared.
Yeah, they get 8. Um, so that too is you have uh beings that are the same as us, human beings, on an island that have never had human contact besides what's on the island, and anybody that's gone over there. So anybody that's gone over there has been pretty much attacked. There's been a few people that have been able to kind of survive over there for a little bit, but
Mm,
um, the whole idea of we make contact, they attack us, we could easily stop it. Stop the attack, fight back. But why would we hurt them when all they're doing is defending what they think is right? Uh, why would we suddenly introduce them to all this technology
yeah,
when they've never known it? It'd be like going from, I don't know how to put it. I don't know what era, bef- Bronze Age, maybe before that to now. I mean, that leap in
right.
technology alone would be so overwhelming for so many people. They would adapt, I'm sure, but
I don't know if they would, man. Like, you introduce that kind of technology so fast,
hmm
they could wipe themselves out with it.
that's true. Because we don't that too. We don't know their inner politics. We don't know how the individual would react to holding a gun. Um, so if maybe that's something else where I know a lot of people theorize that too. Is that where the North Sentinel, what I can't fuck
North
Sentinel,
Sentinel
yes,
Island.
North Sentinel Island of the universe, where we're so far behind that if they were to introduce us to what they have, we'd shoot ourselves in the foot and wipe ourselves out, which we're already doing.
Right.
Yeah, we don't need any help.
Yeah.
I mean, it sort of. I mean, Star Trek kind of touches on this, the whole Prime Directive of exploration, but not interfering with civilizations that are not to that level yet. You know.
hmm
Totally.
What are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you agree with doing that, or do you think that it's better to bring bring forward what we can to the beings that we are able to?
Dude, I think it's dangerous. Like when you look at technological advancement over time, right? Like we started just beating each other up with our fists and stuff. Then we learned like pointy sticks are good, throwing rocks is good. Then we made swords and spears. Then we made guns. Then we made dynamite and bombs. Then we made nukes. Nukes can already like destroy the planet with, enough 100 nukes. You can completely
hmm
destroy the planet and human civilization as it is. Imagine if there's just one more technological step beyond that. If there's some fucking quantum bomb, some antimatter bomb we could develop and produce that could just like you get to a point of technological development where one person could potentially make something that could destroy an entire species or civilization.
Yeah.
And that's like
Yeah,
one
well,
answer to the Fermi paradox, right? Like if there's so many races out there,
yeah,
like why haven't we heard from them? Maybe it's that technology is like inherently dangerous, and once you reach a certain level of technological development, it becomes entirely too easy to like destroy civilizations.
I
Whereas you could almost do it by accident.
yeah, I could see that.
yeah,
I also kind of attested to that we're just so self-destructive and dumb that we're willing to have that one person that's able to do that. We're so unpredictable. Well, maybe other beings, if there are any, of course, are not that wired that way. Maybe they've reached the point of technology, or the point in whatever it is that spirituality that don't see they don't there's no one being among them that would push a button to wipe out the world because they're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
compared to us who there's so many people I know that would push a button, wipe out
Yeah.
the world because it would benefit them in some way.
We're not even close to that.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers would hit the button for a TikTok video.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Um and that's the thing is m- maybe because I mean, we're fucking animals. And we're so ignorant to the fact that we're animals.
Yeah.
We like to say that we're higher beings, but we're not. We're fucking parasites.
That's ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a recurring theme on this podcast, hubris.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hubris.
Oh
It
man.
has been a very hubris podcast.
So sort of one of the theories I've heard of, and I kind of liked, is that the contact of extraterrestrial beings or whatever might be happening, but it might not even be like a physical thing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Totally.
Like it's more of like once you master the consciousness, or once your being evolves to the point where you get sort of, the idea of astral projection or what have you,
It's more
but like
spiritual.
sort of, right, so more like a spiritual contact more than like a technological one, which I like the idea of, because we especially here in the United States and the Western world, we're very technologically leaning beings, right? But
Mhm.
there's those that have, like in the East more so, or certain belief structures or whatever, that have really delved deep into the whole spiritual side of things. And some of them speak of being able to channel other entities, or what have you, right? Because if we are a soul in a meat body, well, what's to stop another soul from being able to communicate through our meat or
Mhm.
whatever, you know?
Totally.
So I watched a thing about where there was this guy that's able to summon the orbs in the sky, the orb lights.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
a news reporter went to him and was like, "Okay, we'll do it." And the way he does it is by praying and putting out his essence
Oh
mode.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Yahweh guy.
Is that way? Is black
Oh
guy?
yeah. I
Yeah.
remember him. Yep.
Yeah.
He
Uh,
really did it.
he really did it. They,
Even the news guys were like, I can't believe it.
yeah. The lights appeared in the sky
Are you
once
getting
it
this
did.
on camera? Yeah, I'm getting it on the
Mhm.
camera. Holy shit.
Um, and like I was watching I uh, Skinwalker Ranch. They're doing an experiment where they had I believe a rabbi uh reading an old Latin prayer, and it made well, these lights appear. Um, I think that there's some correlation with spiritual being and aliens, or beings of another plane.
Yeah.
Um, it maybe what it really is once technology hits a certain point, it changes. It goes from hardware to software, and that software is actually spiritualness.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
could be totally
I
right.
mean, makes sense to me. I will say, in my earlier days, I did a lot of experimenting with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different substances.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I heard you have a lot of
And
things.
so I definitely have had some experiences, and I know they're drug induced. I know they're not proof or anything, but I for my own self, I believe that I have seen sort of the thing that is behind the wall, or at least some of them. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
there definitely has been, and it's not just the seeing of it. It's like, that feeling of like, someone is in the other room, even though it's in your room, even if you're not looking at them,
Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
like that feeling of being looked at, and you turn and yeah, you're whoever's looking at you, right? Sort of like it felt like something was there, and I saw sort of glimpses of whatever my mind at the time was interpreting it as, and um, I definitely do believe there's something to it, and the fact that a lot of people that have had experiences with sort of salvia divinorum is one of them. They will see sort of what they feel is a female entity, that's sort of a almost like a gatekeeper, that if you go too far into that experience, they'll kind of shove you back into your normal senses in a way, you know?
Yes, that's amazing. I had very little snippets of it, or know a little bit. I remember you mentioning that before too.
hmm hmm She kicked me in the balls, sent me flying backwards into my body.
Yeah, and a lot of people have like very similar experiences and similar
Yeah,
perceptions.
You
And
know,
you'd think if people are just doing drugs, they'd see wild, crazy, different shit.
right,
But so many people have very, very similar experiences.
yes,
And it makes
right,
you wonder
right,
if they're not just tapping into an alternate reality that's just as real as our own.
right. And especially for my experiences, I didn't like I had used some stuff, but I went in pretty like unaware of whatever, right? Like I did read other experiences that it no, I had these experiences, and then I looked them up, and I saw a lot of other people talking about the same thing. Like there's
Yeah.
the flip book, I call it, or the zipper, where it's like reality itself turns into sort of almost like a flip book, and you're just going
hmm
through the pages, sort of,
I've
it's getting more more and more unfamiliar, I would say,
oh man, yeah, I remember reading an article about that feeling of basically reality unzipping, and
hmm
you're just watching it go by, pretty much.
hmm
All right, so we're a little long. We'll stop it here. Um, I appreciate you two talking to me about the most randomest shit that we can talk about.
It's always
That's
fun, man.
always a pleasure.
I'm glad. I appreciate you guys so much. You have no idea. I'm going to play an outro. Next week or whenever we get back together, we'll talk more about some other things. For paranormal, we'll see where we're at. Um, man, the spirituality of it is something I definitely want to talk more about. Does that sound? How's that
Okay.
sound for you guys?
Oh, I'm always down to revisit.
Yep.
Awesome.
I did some mushrooms one time, man. It was wild.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like mushrooms.
I'm gonna play a little music, see if it crashes OBS, and we'll go from there. All right. It was good getting together, guys. Man, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, always happy to, man. Always a pleasure to
Oh
talk to you
yeah.
guys.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely jumped in. I said yes because I miss our old conversations.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
glad I'm back in a place where I can have them again.
Yeah, me too.
It's good to have you back, man.
We got, we
I was
got,
out there for a while.
yeah, you were. We gotta get you in the Street Fighter 6, man.